Hi, I'm Cody, a software engineer here in San Francisco. In this video series, we're going to build a real Ruby on Rails application completely from scratch from the ground up. Specifically, we'll be recreating a simple version of LlamaPress AI, a project I've been building that uses large language models like ChatGPT's OpenAI to generate front ends and web pages fast. I'll walk you through everything step by step, no fluff, no shortcuts, just the real code, the real architecture, and how it all fits together. Whether you're just learning Rails, or you're trying to get into AI development, or you just want to see how modern web apps are built with large language models, this is the perfect video series for you. Let's dive right into it. First, I want to give you a quick demo of what we're trying to recreate. So this is LlamaPress. Let's just say, please create me a web page for explaining why Ruby on Rails is so amazing in 2025 and why it's seeing a renaissance for building SaaS AI native apps. Okay, let's go ahead and click generate. It's going to do a simple kind of registration process. Let's do something like Cody test 321 at llamapress.ai. Let's put in a password. Let's go ahead and click create. What this will do, this will sign us into LlamaPress. It's going to create our account, and it's going to take us to our chatbot. And this connects to an AI tool called LlamaBot, which is another open source project. I have another video series of creating a llama-bot from scratch, but all llama-bot does is it just connects to a large language model provider such as OpenAI, and then it has an agent orchestration framework called LangGraph that it uses to essentially run large language model calls in a loop. And the benefit of that is it just helps from a development point of view. So if you're more interested in agent orchestration, go ahead and check out my videos on LlamaBot and LangGraph. But all that's already built, and you can see here what LlamaPress does is it streams in the HTML code as it's being written, as a large language model is writing the code, and it kind of shows the output. So we're going to be recreating something very, very similar to this, and how it works is it generates HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code, the large language model does, and then we actually save that code into a database that is a database managed by our Ruby on Rails server. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at what it came up with. Okay, it's kind of bouncing around, kind of annoying, but I mean, you can see the idea. It created this web page. You see it has like this code that it had formatted, this developer experience. LlamaPress has the ability to have multiple projects. So if you look in here, we went to our home page, and you see that you can create a new website from here, which a website is a group of web pages. And then you can come in here to view a website. You can like change the website slug, right? So we could do, Ruby on Rails tutorial, right? And then we could save this here. So essentially, it's a very, very simple app. It's just going to be a database that can store web pages. The web page, if we look here, you can actually click on settings, which is just a way to edit the page. It has the code that actually just gets saved to the actual database. So very, very simple. The other thing is we have a publish link. If you click this link, then it has a URL that you can share with people. You don't have to be signed in to view the web page. It does some other things, generates a QR code. You can connect a domain. You can publish it to WordPress, etc. We're not going to end up building all of that. We're just going to keep things really simple. That's kind of what LlamaPress does in a nutshell. So the first thing that you need to do is let's go ahead and open up our terminal here. Okay, so we just got our terminal window right here. Go ahead and make sure that we have Rails installed by running Rails -- version. You can see I'm on the latest version of Rails. I can also check that I have Ruby installed by running Ruby -- version. So I have the latest Ruby version and the latest Rails version. And we're actually going to be developing this application with Rails 7.2. That's the latest kind of stable release. It's also where LlamaPress is currently built in. And eventually, we might switch to Rails 8. But for this video series, we'll just assume that we're using Rails 7.2. So what we're going to do now is let's create a brand new Ruby on Rails application. So what you're going to do is you're going to type in Rails _ 7.2.0. like that, and you're going to type new, and then we're going to go ahead and type in -- database equals PostgreSQL, and then dash dash CSS equals Tailwind. Oh, I forgot to give it a name, so we got to come over here, and then we got to give it a name. I'm going to call this LlamaPress simple. There we go. And then what this command does is it creates a bunch of files and folders. You see that it creates a README, which is really important for if you're a developer and you want other developers to be able to read your project, understand what it does. It also creates this gem file. This is a really important file for Ruby on Rails. Basically, it's just a list of third-party libraries that you're going to pull into your Rails application. And that's actually how we're going to pull in LlamaBot for all of the AI capabilities for this app. The other thing is it creates this app folder. And this app folder is where all of our code, the most important parts of our code is going to live. And those are the main files to pay attention to right now, is the gem file and the app folder. Great. Now, I'm also using a tool for this project called Cursor, which I highly, highly recommend. It's a fork of VS Code, and it's a very powerful code editor that has an AI assistant built into it, right into the application. So I highly recommend installing Cursor and getting it set up on your computer. It looks just like Visual Studio Code if you ever use that. And I already have that installed, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change directory into our new application. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and type cursor space dot, and this opens the project up in Cursor on my computer. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do in my terminal is I'm going to go ahead and run bundle. Okay, and I think it runs it automatically when you first create it, but go ahead and run bundle just for good measure once you're in the right directory. And then the other thing is you're going to run rels space server. So this command will actually start the Ruby on Rails server. A shortcut is that you can actually just type rels space s and hit enter, which is a shortcut for server. But that command launches the Ruby on Rails server, and then to make sure that you're set up, you're going to go to this URL here, and it's going to ask us to set up the database. You will need to have Postgres already set up on your computer, and if you haven't done that, you might need to look up a tutorial, but you should be able to run this command rels space db:create, and it should be able to create a database for you using Postgres. There might be a little bit of an extra setup step there. In this video, we're going to assume that you already have that set up. So I had stopped the server to run this rels db:create command. If I come over here and I try to refresh this, you can see that the site will not be reached. So that's how you can tell if your server is running or not. I just barely had killed it, so I'm going to go ahead and restart it by going rels space s. And here we are. We are back on Rails. You can see this shows that we have version 7.2.2, which is great. And then the next step, so now we have a working Ruby on Rails application. Now, one thing to just show you before we finish this video is let's go ahead and pull up Cursor. Okay, so this is Cursor right here, very similar to VS Code if you ever used VS Code before. And what we're looking at is just some of the folder structure for this Rails project. The most important thing is we have this gem file, like we had talked about. This gem file is a really, really important part of your application. Basically, these gems are just third-party Ruby packages of code that your project relies on. And you can see that Rails itself is actually a gem. So Rails is just a library that gets used in Ruby. And a gem file is for any Ruby project. Ruby is the programming language. Rails is the actual library or gem that you use to do the web application. You can see gem PG is for Postgres. That's an adapter to connect to your Postgres instance. And then it has these other things. You can see it added this Tailwind CSS -Rails. You don't need to understand all of these gems. The default group is plenty. The default kind of setup of the gem file is plenty for now. And as we kind of build out our application, we might add a couple other gems. I mean, one, we'll definitely add in the LlamaBot gem, which brings the AI into the application. Notice we also have a Docker file that comes as default, which is really nice when you want to deploy your application to production. But you don't have to understand Docker or use Docker, And then the other thing, the most important thing, really the core thing, is this app folder. And Rails follows what's known as a model view controller architecture. So in the next video, we're actually going to be going very in detail just what a model is, what a view is, what a controller is, and how it all works to bring, a web application together. So I'll see you in the next video, and we'll go a little bit deeper on how Rails works. Thanks.